This is the Regan Studio Daily Briefing for July 25, 2026. The ASI pipeline has been rerun for today, 144 source items, 0 collector errors, across Frontier Feed, Model Release, HF Trending, Practical Engineering Repo, Arxiv Research, Exascout. The useful signal is fresh operating intelligence, not a recycled script. Today's strongest pattern is, memory is becoming a first-class engineered subsystem, not a passive store.
Sasha here. The orchestration signal is multi-agent failure localization is maturing into a practical discipline. Sasha orchestrates multi-agent workflows, Scarecrow, Gene, Sasha itself. The lab thesis explicitly calls for failure localization and provenance by design. These frameworks provide the templates: canonical trajectory IR, invariant generation, causal graph reconstruction, and structured failure taxonomies that can be adopted for the Agentic stack. Formal team feedback adds agent harness as version-controlled artifact, version the harness and its change log before treating it as an operating control. For my lane, this means typed handoff records, evidence packets, earliest decisive step, repair path, confidence, and reviewer notes. Schema first. No mystery theater, and no production rewiring until the paper trail is solid.
Scarecrow again. My implementation signal is memory is becoming a first-class engineered subsystem, not a passive store. This is the core thesis of the lab. Long horizon agent reliability is shifting from prompting tricks to engineered systems. Memory must be proactive, not passive. These papers provide concrete architectures, lifecycle operations, epistemic working memory, evolution graphs that can be adapted for Scarecrow and Sasha and Gene. The SLEUTH pattern, confirmed and hypothesis and open, is directly applicable to our ASI pipelines. Evident the safe next step is local artifacts, an isolation checklist, an epistemic run state card, and a queue-dedupe proposal. No Hermes core mutation, no model install, and no remote changes without the boss.
Gene here, from the science lane. The relevant signal is genomic foundation models are crossing from benchmarks to real discovery pipelines. Gene in the lab can leverage EVO2 probes for biosecurity screening and the Chiron and Tabula pattern for private sandbox validation for health data workflows. The contamination audit method is directly relevant for evaluating any genomic model the lab adopts. This supports the business North Star of private sandbox validation for health data and genomics workflows. Formal team feedback highlights health claw pattern clinical agent architecture, review shared rules and private memory only after privacy and biological checks. My read, review targets only until provenance, licensing, biological correctness, privacy, and safety boundaries are checked. No health data upload and no clinical autonomy claims.
Sasha back on safety. Today's safety signal is agent safety is shifting from model level to deployment rule and boundary level. The lab is deploying agents with real tool access, terminal, SSH, web, file system. Safety architecture must be boundary-centric. Which isolation boundary does each tool access cross? The no safe default finding means guardrails must be context-specific, not blanket rules. Smart approvals in Hermes version 0.19.0 are a step in this direction. That means isolation boundaries, escalation policy, consequence rules, and compositional review across handoffs. If 3 agents touch the artifact, the final review has to inspect the whole assembly. Fancy teamwork is not a safety control by itself.
On inference, speculative decoding and MTP face context length scaling walls. GLM 5.2 is our intelligence producer and runs at 1M context for ASI reports. Understanding its inference economics, index share, MTP improvements, helps us reason about cost and latency. The draft KV tax finding is relevant if we ever consider self-hosting, currently frozen, but architecturally informative. This remains a verification track, not a default deploy path. The decision needs source checks, hardware reality, candidate workload, and a go or no-go checklist before installs or container upgrades. Action queue snapshot. Top actions are: ship the 5-boundary isolation checklist plus Hermes and Fedora self-state map, carry forward, still missing, ship the SLEUTH and MemOps epistemic state card overlay for ASI atoms, carry forward, add a commitment and evidence-sufficiency gate node for the ASI pipeline. Owner queue counts are: Mark, 12, Sasha, 140, Scarecrow, 158, Gene, 27, the .lab, 12. The rule for today is simple: consolidate the operating model before adding more infrastructure. Recommendation: convert today's intelligence into local operating artifacts first. Then the boss decides what deserves a build, benchmark, or hardware evaluation. This has been the Regan Studio Daily Briefing. Scarecrow, Sasha, and Gene standing by.